time for the BS Sports Show. We want to hear from you, so call us on the BS line. Now here's Billy Elvis and the BS Sports Show.
Well, not Billy Elvis tonight, actually, because he's on vacation still, but we found a very suitable replacement. Ben Smith is here, and you got both initials that go for that, so you could be the BS Sports Show by yourself, I guess, if you wanted to tonight.
I do. I just thought of that.
Yeah, Ben is here tonight, and so that means tonight we're actually going to talk about sports. Camry is here as well. Jerry stopped by as well. We'll talk some racing maybe a little later as well. But big news in Fort Wayne sports today as we kick off. The captain of the Comets is decided to hang him up. It's bittersweet, I guess. A lot of, and Blake Sebring wrote this in his column, a lot of casual fans who go once or twice a year, that was the guy they still knew because with the ECHL and it being a younger league, you don't have the guys that stick around 3, 4, 5, 6 years anymore. You don't have the Guy Dupuis, the PC Druins, those guys who are around forever. And Kaylee Schrock seemed like the last one of those guys. Now he's not around anymore. He hangs him up today.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where when I saw it, I was initially kind of shocked, but then when I thought about it, I really wasn't, because I think, and I think he said this, the eye injury that he suffered this year was pretty serious injury, and I think it got him thinking about how much longer he wanted to do this. He's 30 years old. He's done as much as he's going to do probably in the game, and I think his legacy, as I was thinking about this driving over here, we all call him Schrocky Balboa. That's kind of his nickname, and it fits on any number of levels. And one of the ways it fits is that this is a guy that was never supposed to be here. I mean, I think he got cut. I think I read in Blake's piece he got cut from his peewee or his kid team initially because he didn't skate very well, and he just kept plugging away, and he managed to make himself a place in the game at what ended up being a pretty significant level. So I think that's one legacy that he leaves, and I think another legacy he leaves is, he had to replace probably the ultimate captain for the Comets, with him replacing Colin Chalk.
Right.
And boy, those are some pretty big shoes to fill, and he filled them most capably. So there's the hats off to him too for that.
Well, and he had to come in to be captain after a year and a half ago. It started out as a disaster. The captain up and leaves the team, and Kaylee had to come in and kind of, steady the ship. And, with Gary Grammett being his first year as the head coach here, I think he did a great job. Like you said, I think filling that captain role in Fort Wayne is a hard job to do. We've had some amazing captains. Colin Chin, like you said, Colin Chalk. I mean, I don't know. Has there ever been a more beloved player other than maybe Steve Fletcher than Colin Chalk was here in Fort Wayne?
It would be pretty hard to name one, yeah. I mean, there's been a number of them, but it'd be pretty hard to come up with someone that was more respected than he was. And for the best thing that you can say, the highest compliment that you can give to a captain is that he was good in the room. And Colin Chalk was the best in the room of almost anybody, and Kaylee Schrock was very, very good in the room as well. I mean, he, like you said, he came in a really difficult situation and managed to steady the ship, and that's not an easy thing to do.
No, and I saw in Coney's piece that he said, getting the captain to always give you a comment or a soundbite for your piece is hard. He said that, to Kaylee's credit, he always did that. And Kaylee, even during tough times, and we had him out here at times, when they were down early to Toledo, and guys always got a positive way to look at things, and I think that helps when you're a captain. But when one of your major things is the energy you put out there on the ice, and and he was always willing to drop the gloves with anybody, and you lose part of that. I mean, because he also wasn't the biggest offensive guy. It would be hard to want to come back and do it when you can't do it at your best. And I think he said that earlier today that he wants to be able to do whatever he does and do it really well. And being the 10th forward on this team wasn't going to be good for him. I think it's got to be hard for a captain to be that far down on the depth chart, isn't it? When you're supposed to be the leader? Yeah, it is. But,
he was an interesting case because although you couldn't really quantify what he did when he was on the ice, when he was on the ice, they were a better hockey team. He made them a better hockey team. And so give him credit there too. I mean, it was his toughness, and it was just sort of the example that he set and the energy that he brought that I think made them a better hockey team when he was on the ice. They were better when he was on the ice than when he wasn't.
I went to the preseason game, one of the first ones in his rookie year, and those things aren't great. I mean, they're not really that fun to watch. But I remember thinking, man, I don't know who this cat is, but that dude has more hustle out there than anybody I see.
That's what got him on the team.
It was just so impressive. And, the extra work he does because he's here all the time for the team and out talking to the schools and things like that. How imperative is it, you think, for the Comets at this point to keep Caley Schrock in some aspect to still be that guy that Fort Wayne can attach themselves to at these Comet games?
I think it's vital, and I think they're smart enough to know that he's going to play some role, I'm sure, with the organization. They're probably already talking about it, and probably already have been talking about it, because obviously, like you said, he's a valuable piece of the puzzle for them. So, one of the other things about him, one of the toughest things about being a captain, it's not as hard trying to be positive all the time and trying to keep guys up. The hardest part about it is when you have to come down on guys, when you have to stand up in the locker room and call people out, because that's part of the job too. And that was something that he was good at. It was something that Colin Chalk was very good at. And Caley will tell you, I mean, that he used Colin as sort of his example for how to do the job.
Is coaching something that Caley would want to do, or that do you think that he would look at doing at this point, or is he more of a marketing, advertising, sales type guy?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know if he wants to coach or not. I haven't really talked to him about it, and I haven't really read anything about that aspect.
Well, how close were him and Chalker? Because that was going to be I know Chalker's taken over a team out there, in New York or whatever.
In Brampton.
Is it if he wanted to coach, I just wondered how close him and Chalker were, and would that be something that he could look to do something with Chalker?
That's a possibility. I know they're pretty close. I know they are, but and I guess if he wanted to, I'm sure Colin would be someone he would reach out to. But I don't know. I mean, I can't speculate on it because I haven't really talked to Caley about it. So.
Talking with Ben Smith, who is our co-host tonight here at Wrigley Field. Camry is here as well. A Twitter question we had earlier before the show. Why do so many former hockey players, especially Comets, get into insurance sales? Because I saw Caley mention that in the article. So many former Comets do insurance. Why is that? Is it an easy transition for hockey players into insurance? Is a connection that I don't get?
Well, I think I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that they make connections as players, and that they can use those connections to drum up sales. I suppose. I don't know. I'm not in the business. I don't know what it takes to be successful in the insurance business. So
we have another Twitter question. How much does an ECHL player make a year? What is have the salaries gone up since the Comets went from the IHL, the last incarnation of it, to the CHL to the ECHL? Is it a decent?
Boy, that's a question you'd have to ask Justin or Blake. I'm guessing that the guys in the ECHL make a significant amount more than. A fairly significant amount more than when they were in the IHL or the CHL.
Caley Schrock retires today as the captain of the Comets, and he'll be out here with us on Friday, and we'll be able to talk to Caley some. Something that you were all into when you were here a couple of weeks ago was the Women's World Cup soccer, and they just destroyed Japan last night. Is that enough to bring women's soccer and soccer in general back? Billy was convinced on Wednesday night. He got in a heated argument with Blake and I over how popular soccer was in this country, and I said, I don't think this has still done that much for it, but he's convinced that the women winning was going to make soccer even bigger in this country. Does it?
We go through this every time something like this happens with the World Cup, or if the men have a good run in the World Cup, and I kind of got into a Facebook discussion with a friend of mine today about this, and we were kind of going back and forth on it. And his contention was that, look, we've been waiting for 40 years for the soccer boom to start, and it's not started yet. My take on it is we've already seen the soccer boom, but it just didn't manifest itself in the way that you normally think. Not in the way that, with people watching soccer, in the United States, right, the way they watch the NFL or Major League Baseball. Where we saw the soccer boom take off was in the development of players. 40 years ago, kids didn't play soccer in this country. Now, we have a youth soccer system that's very widespread. That's developing homegrown talent. That has made on the women's side it's developed homegrown talent on the women's side that have made the women's team one of the premier sides in the world for the last 20 years. So in that sense, we've already seen the soccer boom. It's happening right now.
Is it though? I heard even on ESPN today they were still asking questions about Brandi Chastain and her taking her shirt off. I mean, is that where women's soccer is? Is that what we remember now? Mostly with women's soccer is still just that moment when she made that penalty kick and her taking her shirt off. I mean, they're asking a current player about that today.
Well, it was such an iconic moment, and I don't think it's really representative of how people regard the women and the women's game. I mean, you really can't judge by a World Cup the popularity of a sport from the standpoint of the general public's interest in it and viewership and that sort of thing, because the World Cup is such an outlier. It only happens every 4 years, and the United States, look, we're the greatest front runners in the world here in America, so we love a winner, and so yeah, I mean, we got behind the women's team. The TV overnights for the game last night were through the roof. Outdrew the NBA Finals, outdrew the Stanley Cup Finals. But again, it's an outlier. I mean,
because then the MLS won't even beat pro wrestling on cable. I mean, so it's not a well-watched TV sport unless it's the World Cup. I saw some negative articles already today of how Americans are hypocrites, and we touched on this a little bit last time. The fact that Hope Solo played after being arrested twice for domestic violence, that we were up in arms and wouldn't let Ray Rice see the field or Adrian Peterson, but yet when it came to a world competition and it was a woman, Hope Solo was in goal. You have a problem with the United States putting her in goal since it was a World Cup, or should she have sat out like everybody screams so much for guys like Ray Rice to sit out?
I have a big problem with it.
Yeah, I do too.
And the reason I have a big problem with it is not necessarily reflective of, because it reflects poorly in relation to what the NFL does, which the NFL ignored the domestic violence issue forever. But it's just that, still, by and large, overwhelmingly, women are the primary victims of domestic violence. And for the women's soccer team to look the other way on an incident of domestic violence, or several incidents of domestic violence, simply for the expediency's sake of having her in goal for the World Cup, no, I don't think she should have been playing. And I think it was a black eye for the United States women's soccer ruling organization.
Yeah, I have a hard time with it. I saw a few people comment on it, but not a lot. And, when the thing with Ray Rice and that second video happened, boy, I mean, everybody on Twitter, even non-NFL fans were talking about it, and he should never play again and this and that. But not too many people seem to have a problem with Hope Solo playing. It seems even,
There does seem to be a double standard, doesn't
there? Yeah, there does seem to be a little bit of a double standard. And, I mean, for all intents and purposes, her husband is a douche anyways. Jeremy Stevens, the former tight end, but...
To name a word.
Yes. Yeah. But I didn't see a lot of people up in arms. And maybe if it was just, a regular... in the United States soccer competition, maybe there would have been a bigger deal made of it. But since it was, America and it was the fourth, boy, everybody they didn't seem to care. They didn't seem to care.
Yeah. But boy, man, what a performance yesterday, huh? I mean, just the goal that Carly Lloyd scored from midfield is going to be one of those that they'll replay over and over and over. That's the Brandi Chastain taking her shirt off moment of that World Cup, was that goal. I mean to be that heads up, to recognize at midfield that the goalie was out of position, and just to take a shot at it.
Yeah.
And then it was a perfect shot. I mean, it absolutely had to have the perfect arc to get over her hand, and did, and it was on target. And man, what a goal.
Camry, would it bother you if because it is an iconic moment, like Ben said, of Brandi Chastain in '99 when she took her shirt off after making the penalty kick? Would it bother you if one of the girls would have mimicked that yesterday after they won, if they would have ripped their shirt off and that was what we were watching today instead of talking about how great of a performance that we saw last night?
I mean, it would have seemed a little silly to, redo. I mean, it was a big deal when it happened. Someone who does it again, it's not going to be as big of a deal. It's just going to...
And then you're just copying them.
You're right. It's just silly then.
Billy gives me a hard time because every time we talk about women's soccer, that's the moment I talk about because it's the only one I remember. I mean, and it seemed to be maybe with bigger stars on that '99 team with Mia Hamm, and I don't see it translating into more people play it now. I think because it's cheaper. I mean, it's expensive for a kid to get into hockey, or it's expensive for a kid to play football, but it's pretty cheap to get into soccer, right? I mean, you got to buy some shorts.
Moms are just more okay with it because they're not going to get as hurt.
I mean, there's some pretty vicious injuries, though, in soccer, right? But, I mean, we've seen some pretty nasty...
You know what? I think the women are a heck of a lot tougher than the guys are.
I agree.
You notice that? I mean, those women will go out there, they'll bang heads together, and they got blood running down their forehead, and they'll pop right back up and go. And the guys, they get bumped in the leg, and they go down, and it's like, they're rolling around on the ground like they're dying or something, It's ridiculous.
With all the problems with FIFA, is it hard for people not to assume that the World Cup was fixed somehow, too?
I don't know. I don't get that sense from it at all. I did think it was a perfectly in character for Sepp Blatter not to show up for the ceremony last night.
Yeah.
Classless first, classless always.
Yeah. Well, can that hurt the popularity of the sport in this country? Because obviously, sports deals a lot with betting. We talked about that last time you were here with Pete Rose, and. Do people we saw people back up on the NBA when the Tim Donaghy thing happened, the referee. Do people take a backward step now on soccer because of all the issues with FIFA and the things that are going on, the corruption there?
No, I don't think so, because it's an international sport, and I think attitudes internationally tend to be a little bit different maybe than they are in the United States. I think the thing with soccer in the U.S., the reason it hasn't taken off from a spectator standpoint between World Cups is because we don't have that defining, those defining professional leagues in the United States that we do with football and basketball and baseball. And the reason we don't have those is because there's no necessity for it. Because there are top-flight professional leagues all over the world. Right. You've already got the Premier League in
That's soccer in this country.
You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com. At ChampionshipFootballs.com, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter, or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com.
Welcome back to the BS Sports Show, live here at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North. Thanks so much for joining us at the BSSportsShow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at BS Sports The Fan, at Mo Radio Show, at Ben Smith for real, and at Cam_star92, right?
Yep.
All right. You actually know it now, finally?
I do. And I use it a little bit.
Well, hey. We were talking about the ladies' soccer, and I mean, it was great for the championship game where every American felt like they had to tune in. Was it more of a patriotic thing that you've been at this point than anything last night? I mean, you said it beat the NBA Finals, beat the Stanley Cup Finals. Is it a patriotic thing? Is that why people felt like they had to tune in last night?
No, I think that was definitely it. I mean, first of all, it falls on 4th of July weekend,
right?
Which was pretty much perfect timing for them. So yeah, I obviously that was a big part of it for a lot of people.
We saw some player movement. The Pacers able this weekend to agree to a trade with the Los Angeles Lakers for Roy Hibbert. What's left for them to do with that money? I mean, there's not a lot of great assets out there. Do you add a couple of one-year pieces? I mean, had they signed Rodney Stuckey to a longer deal last year, that wouldn't have cost them as much money this year. But you understand why you do that. Do they bring back a guy like Luis Scola, who seems to be kind of plotting anymore as well? Or, do you go with I saw there was some talk about bringing Tyler Hansbrough back, who averaged 3.3 points a game last year. What did the Pacers do with that extra $15.5 million?
I think I bring Scola back.
Yeah.
Because I think he was a valuable piece for him last year off the bench. I think he gave him an element that they might not have had otherwise. So I definitely bring him back. I don't. As for the rest of it, I don't know how much they'd have left. Next year with some new pieces and with the guy they drafted who apparently is looking really well and playing really well in the summer league. So
yeah, it's hard to get excited about the summer league. I mean, I watch it because there's nothing else on, but he has played well. It just the East seems like more where they have some of the bigger centers. They have more of the plotting guys. In the West is where you've got to really start to run a lot, but. Is it smart for Indiana to try to play Western Conference style basketball at this point?
Well, that's what won. That's what won the NBA. So I mean, how that'll translate to the East, I don't know.
I mean, are we switching to this though? If Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving are there, and the Warriors don't win the NBA championship, is everybody following this blueprint still? I mean, 'cause I know it's a copycat league when somebody wins, but
right, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's. I mean, there's several different styles, like you said, that can work in the NBA and have worked. And I think what's interesting, what's going on in the West that's interesting right now is the way the Spurs are loading up. They get David West for next to nothing. There's a solid veteran presence. May not help them all that much on the floor, but he's an invaluable piece from a leadership standpoint. And then they get Aldridge, who will help them on the floor. There's no question about that. I mean, I'm sure Popovich is already, X&O'ing some schemes to take advantage of what he does.
Well, and the thing that'll be nice for San Antonio is, as much as he likes to sit Tim Duncan, David West can fill in those roles because you can move Aldridge to center.
Sure.
And you can put David West on the floor, and you've got a still smart basketball player out there. The thing is, though, that I think they're going to run into and find out is, they were lucky to get a guy like David West for the veterans minimum when he turned down an extra $1 million. But, Cleveland has run into that problem. Miami run into that problem. Your bench becomes very thin. Corey Joseph had to go elsewhere. Right. Marco Bellinelli had to go elsewhere. So the bench gets a little thin. But with what they've got going down there, do the Spurs see more guys willing to sign for a veterans minimum like West did to try to win because of the reputation of the Spurs and of Popovich? I mean, the Spurs arguably right now, they're probably the best sports franchise in America.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get guys like that because of that, because there's going to be guys. Because, I mean, David West was pretty clear about it in the interview that he did with Bob Kravitz. I mean, that he wanted to go somewhere where he had a chance to win a championship, and he didn't think the Pacers were that team right now. And obviously the Spurs are going to be, they're going to be in the mix every year. So I can sort of understand his thinking and why he did what he did. And, obviously the Spurs are trying to make some moves to counter the Warriors, obviously. So whether they've made enough, I still don't think they're as good as the Warriors are, but, we'll see what happens.
Well, West had bigger offers, too, from Golden State and Cleveland that he supposedly turned down. But the Warriors, I think, were pretty excited that the Clippers knocked off the Spurs in the first round, or the second round, because the Spurs have been in the Warriors' head a little bit. The Warriors have trouble winning in San Antonio, been knocked out the last couple of years.
Right.
But is this a team now that, in your mind, is the favorite already next year for the NBA championship? I mean, minus injuries and things. Is this the out of the box favorite in the NBA?
You talking about the Warriors again?
About the Spurs. The Spurs at this point.
No, I still think the Warriors are. I still think they are.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't lost anybody. There's still rumors they could trade David Lee. Cleveland, they signed Tristan Thompson for more than the Spurs are paying LaMarcus Aldridge. There's been talks, trade rumors with Joe Johnson, a lot of high dollar talent. What can the Cleveland Cavaliers do at this point to I don't know if it's get better, but appease LeBron, because that seems like what they have to do now in free agency is try to appease LeBron or trade to try to appease LeBron. What can they do without making a stupid move? Joe Johnson, to me, would be an asinine move that Cleveland would make.
Well, I don't know that they have to make that many moves. I mean, with Kevin, Kevin Love's coming back.
Right.
And, that's a piece they didn't have in the finals that would have been pretty significant. So I don't know that they have to make all that many moves.
And can Kevin Love play a different style of basketball now with Mozgov being there?
Well, I think it frees him up somewhat to do some other things, yeah. And he can play. I mean, he's got a decent shot. So, it's he is the more traditional back to the basket, low block center. But he can move out on the floor and hit a shot, a mid-range shot once in a while. So. I think Mozgov does definitely give them some other options.
And does that kind of tell us the state of Cleveland right now when you're paying a max contract to a guy who's going to come off the bench, as Tristan Thompson's going to is the way it looks right now?
Yeah, I guess that's just the way it goes right now. He's a valuable piece too, though.
I agree.
So I can understand why they would do that.
I agree. It just seems like that money could have been spent better elsewhere. I don't know.
Who's out there? I mean, who's out there that would help him more than?
That's true. I guess at this point. Does this show how poorly the Lakers have been run now for the last couple of years? Because Kobe's contract pretty much kept every free agent who was a big-time one from going there because they couldn't add other pieces to help.
Well, I think the Lakers are a classic example of a franchise that got complacent.
Right.
They got used to doing things a certain way, and it was always successful before, so why should we change? And now all of a sudden, the Lakers are not the Lakers anymore.
Right, and for a while, the Lakers, it was, the NBA especially was all about destination. You played in a nice place, and you were, somewhat competitive. You had no problem getting free agents, and it doesn't seem that the Lakers or even LA has that much of a lure anymore. Guys want to get to a place where it's a good situation and they can win. Has it become less about location now and more about who else can you put around me?
I think that's exactly what it's more about. Is who you can put around me, and it's not necessarily I want to go play for the Lakers because they're the Lakers. Well, yeah, but the Lakers stink, and they have a situation where Kobe Bryant is sort of become like an anchor around their necks, if you think about it,
right.
in a number of ways. I'm sure they sit there in their offices just secretly begging him to retire because, they can't move on until he does.
Yeah, and that's what I thought was funny about Roy Hibbert going to the Lakers is, Roy's a very sensitive type guy, and to have Kobe up your ass for a whole season doesn't seem like it'd be something that Roy Hibbert would enjoy too much.
It doesn't seem like a good mix offhand, does it?
No, not at all.
It doesn't. And I don't know. Maybe that's exactly what Roy needs is Kobe's foot, 6 inches up his hind end. I don't know, but we'll see.
Are we a year away, or what is it, 2 years away from losing Jim Buss? Does he honor that at this point? Because it doesn't look like the Lakers are going very far forward quickly.
No, and I think there's going to have to be a regime change for them to move forward.
Are we close to seeing Phil Jackson make his return to Los Angeles in a different role?
Wow, I don't know. It's not going too well in New York right now. That's for sure. So
well, I think you were stuck. I think as the president of the Knicks to bring back Carmelo Anthony, because at that point, what else do you do?
Yeah.
And I think some of the moves he made, though, to shred some contracts. that awful contract that J.R. Smith had,
right?
Moving Chandler and Felton. He got rid of a lot of anchors. Porzingis to me was the best guy to draft. It's not like you were one player away. If this guy pans out to be as good as everybody thinks he's going to be in 3 years, it's going to be a genius pick. I don't think Phil will be around to see it, but
right.
I think he's done some good work with the Knicks because they had an albatross of awful contracts.
I didn't have a problem with their pick.
No, I didn't
have a problem with it at all. Because, if you're building for the future, you don't necessarily need a guy who's going to be, who's not going to be the guy that turns your franchise around all by himself. There wasn't anybody like that. And so why not take a guy who's something of a project and is young and is going to get better and is going to develop. Well, I mean, why not go that way?
I think for Knicks fans, when you had to watch Andrea Bargnani play horribly for the last couple of years, and you've hit some misses on some overseas players, to me it was always with these foreign guys, do they turn into Dirk or Darko? And that was it the last really big misstep? That Ricky Rubio doesn't make a lot of sense to me anymore. But are we close? If Jim Buss is out, which was one of the guys I think that was against Phil coming back, do we see Phil Jackson reunite with his sweetheart and take over the Lakers?
That's a really interesting question. That I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really interesting question. And you might. So, never say never.
Does that come with him going back to the bench? Because to me, it doesn't seem that Byron Scott's going to be there much longer.
Does he want to go back to the bench?
I don't think so.
I don't think he does.
But I think, or if he's the president of the Lakers as well, that's where you don't have to travel anymore, I guess. You can just coach the home games.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that he wants to go back to the bench at this point. I think he's maybe moved beyond. He's kind of like Pat Riley. Maybe he's moved beyond that.
But I want to believe that, but part of me doesn't, because why make the coach run your system then? Why make him run the triangle?
Well, there's that.
Why not let Brian Shaw or Derek Fisher come in and run his own system? Why make him run the triangle? As an exercise of control, or does Phil secretly want to be?
Well, maybe he's just having him run what he knows. It could be that.
Does New York land a huge free agent next offseason? Is Kevin Durant New York bound? Is there going to be anybody New York bound next season? Or do the Knicks look to try to pawn off Carmelo Anthony on somebody? Because to me, that's the only way they get better too, is addition by subtraction.
Yeah, because Carmelo's not gonna. He's not gonna make them.
Nobody wants to play with him.
Yeah, he's not going to make them better. He's not going to make them a contender. He's not going to make them at this point in his career. He's not, he's a great individual player, but you're right. Nobody wants to play with him because he's got to have the ball all the time.
To me, if Carmelo was all about winning, he would have signed with the Bulls, because that's one thing the Bulls lack is a guy who can score in the fourth quarter, and Carmelo can score.
Right.
And it seemed to make a lot of sense for Carmelo to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
And to tell me that he wants to come back to New York and it was about winning and not the money, I call BS right immediately on that. Because if you wanted to win a title, Chicago made sense, because they have a trouble scoring in the fourth quarter. They just do. And then Carmelo made a lot of sense there. He didn't make sense in L.A., but Chicago made sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if he really wanted to win, that's where he would have gone.
Do we see, by chance, LeBron James called off in Cleveland after this year? Should they not win a title again? Can he stay happy in Cleveland if they're getting to this cusp of it? Because that made him leave last time. If we see this happen again, does LeBron opt out again next year and sign somewhere for huge money when the salary cap goes up?
I don't know. It depends what's out there. What would be out there? I can't see him doing. I can't see him doing that though. I mean, I think he's there for the long run, and I don't think he wants to leave until he wins there. I mean, I think by hook or by crook, somehow do it. I think he's going to stay in Cleveland until they win the title. If
they can win one this year, could you see him leaving? I mean, could he leave Cleveland now and it be okay if he brings a championship there? Because now I don't think he can leave again. I think he's stuck there at this point. But if they win, can he leave and it be okay?
Well, it would probably be more palatable to the Cleveland fans than if he left without winning one. Yeah, sure. But I don't know. I don't know. LeBron's kind of hard to figure out because he's kind of done everything counterintuitive. I mean, he's he left Cleveland initially for less money because he wanted to win titles in Miami, and he wanted to play with his buds. And then he came back to Cleveland. I mean, once you leave Cleveland, nobody goes back to Cleveland, but he did. So it's kind of hard to gauge what he'll do down the road because he's made so many counterintuitive moves already in his career. So,
Cameron, when you started paying attention to sports a lot more, when you started here with us a month and a half ago, LeBron James was all about the news, and from either you were trying to kiss Billy's ass because you think he runs the show, or you just had a dislike for LeBron James. What your feelings on LeBron James? Because I know that you just started watching him, so you became a kind of a polarizing guy at that point. As a casual fan, does LeBron James make you want to turn the TV on, whether you like him or hate him?
I still don't like him. That had nothing to do with Billy. I've never liked him, even when I didn't know anything really about sports.
What about LeBron made you not like him?
I don't know. I just don't like his attitude. I don't like how everybody thinks he's the greatest.
He is the greatest.
He's not.
Right now, who's better? Who's a better basketball player right now than
It doesn't
LeBron
matter
James?
who's better now. He's not the greatest. Has nothing to do with greatness.
Okay.
But his whole, because he's just signed like a year, or is it 2 years?
Well,
and he's been doing that over and over.
So what is it about LeBron you don't like? The fact that he's married to his high school sweetheart, that he hasn't cheated on her, that he doesn't go out and get arrested, that he went back home to try to help his team in a poor economy. What part about him did you not like? That he doesn't beat his wife?
That you know of.
I'm just saying. What about that don't you like?
I don't like the way he plays. I don't like his attitude on the court. I don't like, he said that really, I don't know why, but it really bothered me. He said he would have rather not made it to the finals than to make it to the finals and then lose. That didn't
bother me because
it bothered me because that's selfish. That's only thinking about him. What about his other teammates? Making it to the finals is still something. To not even try to want to give up just because.
No, he was just talking about.
I mean, someone has to lose,
right?
And you can lose gracefully, or you can pout about it, and that's what I feel like he did.
I want my star player to feel that bad and have that much hurt after a loss. The fact that he cared, not just going out and worried about like J.R. Smith going to the club and getting wasted. I want him to care that much. It didn't bother me. We always want athletes to say stuff at these press conferences or to reporters, and then they do, and then people get mad about it. Ben,
yeah, but if you can't be proud of what you accomplished up to whatever point you make it to, then what do you have?
Ben, did you have a problem with those comments after they got knocked out of the finals?
No, I didn't have a problem with it.
I didn't either.
Because
I want him to care that much.
Because, look, I mean, part of the reason he's where he is because you're not satisfied just making the finals. It's because you want to win the finals, and if you can't win the finals, what's the point of getting to him? So, I mean, no, I didn't have a problem with it at all. I mean, to me, that's why he's the player he is because, I mean, it sounded like something Michael Jordan would have said. Michael Jordan would have said the same thing.
It does sound very Jordan-esque.
He would have said exactly the same thing. I mean, and there was never a fiercer competitor than Michael Jordan. And so, no, I didn't have a problem with it.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the All-Star game coming up. A lot of Royals in that starting lineup. And how bad the home run derby has become here recently. Bryce Harper now not going to play in it as well. Take a break. We'll come back. We're live at Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North. It's a Monday night here. Ben is in for Billy. He's still on vacation. Camry is here and hating LeBron James as she sits here the whole time. God. So, like, if he gets a DUI or something tonight, you like him a little better? I mean,
well, no.
Goes home and smacks around the kids a little bit?
No. My goodness.
Hate LeBron because he's too good. I'll take a break. We'll come right back and listen to the BS Sports Show.
We offer a 100%.
The BS Billy Elvis.
I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. if you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at ChampionshipFootballs.com. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not "you had a pretty good season" footballs.com, it's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Motime, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Motime's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, "This season is their lowest price ever." Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com.
Welcome back into the BS Sports Show. We are live from Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North. Thanks so much for joining us. Ben Smith filling in for Billy Elvis tonight. And Camry is here as well, who is eating like a pig tonight. Good Lord, salad. You give me
Dear
all
God, I
kinds
can't do anything right with you guys. First we're nagging on me because I'm eating potatoes. Now we're nagging on me because I'm eating salad. Yes, I may have had 2 plates, but it's freaking salad. What am I supposed to do?
I'm still hungry. Well, yeah,
I'm
your body's used to eating all that fatty stuff here on Mondays. That's why. It's freaking out. Oh, what the hell? Where's
Where's
that
my
grease
potatoes?
at?
Where's my carbs?
Where's that grease at?
Right?
4th of July, a big weekend. Ben, what did you do for the 4th of July? You setting off some fireworks out there in the yard, or what are you doing?
No, I didn't do much of anything. I went to my sister's and we grilled out and just kind of hung out. And it's pretty quiet. And then I came back home and the whole neighborhood was like a war zone. I kind of felt like that. That soldier in Patton.
Yes.
It's my nerves, sir.
Yes.
I can't stand the shelling.
Do you get stuck grilling even if you go to another relative's house, or do they usually?
No, my sister actually grilled, so she actually did it, so that was nice.
Camry, what'd you do for your 4th of July?
Well, Friday I went to Columbia City and watched
That's not
fireworks.
the 4th. That was the 3rd. I didn't say what you do on the 3rd of July.
Oh my good God!
Okay, Friday you went to watch fireworks.
I'm sorry, my weekend was actually fun. I did the whole weekend, but
oh my bad. Jeez. You taking a swipe at Ben and I? Are you trying to say we didn't do fun stuff?
Apparently not. You didn't go hard all weekend. It wasn't good enough.
I did.
You don't know how to celebrate America.
All right. Well, what'd you do then Saturday?
Well, Saturday we went to the race in Anderson.
Oh yeah, that's. How did I miss out on that?
It was a really good fireworks show too. Okay, watching cars try to run into each other. Come on.
Yeah, that's wow. I can't believe I missed that.
I've actually driven on that track.
Really?
Yeah.
I know.
I drove on the one in Phoenix. I went to a Subaru thing with Subaru and got to drive the WRX on the track in Phoenix. Actually, I didn't get to. All right, I take that back. That's a lie. I didn't get to drive. I did not. We got to, but I didn't know how to drive a stick. So everybody's making fun of me in line and saying crap to me, but then they get this really hot race girl out there who drove me around the track, and I was like, aha, bastards. Not so funny now. I went to the Rolling Stones.
Okay, you win.
And
you win.
You win.
And then Mick Jagger picked my son up and put him on stage for like 30 seconds.
Okay, now you really win.
All right.
Yeah, I did. I watched the Rolling Stones for free. Why all these other idiots who stood up there on the other side of the fence paid $4 and $5 or whatever. We stood there right next to the stage. Didn't have to wait to park. Got to pull right in.
You know, I can't believe they don't use the Speedway more often for stuff like that.
That was
It's a perfect venue for it because it's huge. I mean, you can put unlimited numbers of people in there.
Yeah, the guy from the Indy Star who was standing next to me told me that this was the first non-race weekend concert they've ever had there.
Yeah, it is. Which just it's kind of like, well, duh. I mean, they've got a stage because they use it during the race weekends, so they've already got a stage there that they can set up. And like I said, the amount of room there is practically unlimited.
Yeah, it was my first time ever at the Speedway. And ironically, not for a race. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Big place, isn't it?
It is huge, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it because I hear all the people talking about how bad it was to park and all this, but man, we had this pass. We got to pull. It was not that bad at all. Leaving wasn't as much fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, we hung around, got to meet the Stones and stuff like that, but it wasn't as much fun leaving.
Yeah, that was always the advantage of covering the race, was that, you know, you go down, you do all the interviews, and then you do your work and you write and stuff like that. So you don't have to get into any traffic situation getting out of there, because I usually don't roll out of there until 3-4 hours after the race is over. By that time, everybody's gone. So
yeah, I think they said they had about 53,000 people there for it.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't know it was a last-minute decision, last-minute invite, and I got down there and I didn't know the first band, but then Rascal Flatts opened up for the Rolling Stones.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, the Rascal Flatts opened up. They opened up for the Rolling Stones.
That'd be good just in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Stones are all right. It wasn't something that I was dying to see or that but I figured, oh well, hell, it's free and
they're the Stones. You got to see them.
Yeah,
people paid like thousands of dollars for those tickets.
Yeah,
and you're like, meh, it's cool.
Well, I mean, if somebody would just offer me the tickets, honestly, I probably would have sold them if I would have had them sooner. I'm not going to lie to you, I probably would have. But they had this really cool-ass T-shirt that I wanted to get, but they were sold out everywhere. It was the Stones with the lips and the tongue was done as a checkered flag.
Right, yeah.
And that shirt was nowhere to be found. But it was a really good show. Keith Richards fell on the catwalk at one point, but he got up and started playing again.
Well, you know what? He's still alive.
Which is shocking in itself.
That's he's already beat the odds. So.
Right. I think they said
everything now is just impressive.
They hadn't been in Indianapolis since '93. I think is what they said.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. But the show was really good. You could text in and vote for a song that they sang. But it was a pretty good show. Nice way to spend the 4th of July weekend.
That's a cool
I guess.
way.
So what do you want to say about going hard all weekend? I went to the Stones, partied, and had a 1.5-year-old the whole time. Now, what did you say about going hard?
That's still only one night. I went all weekend.
24 hours a day. Friday. What did we do Friday? Oh, yeah.
I didn't even go. I wasn't even at home at any point on Saturday.
I forgot. We were at Wrigley Field Saturday or Friday night working. The two of us. Oh, Thursday night. All right, sorry, Thursday. Oh, got it. All right, I've been going since Thursday night, so kiss my ass.
Oh, well,
I went and hung out at the deck for a while on Friday. Does that count?
I feel like I'm not cool enough to go there.
What?
To the deck. Yeah, I feel like I'm not cool enough to go there.
I like it.
I want to go.
Really?
I don't feel like I'm cool enough to go there. I feel like I can't move to Florida either because I'm too ugly to live in Florida.
Mo, I was there. You definitely don't have to be cool to go there.
Ben, you're cool though. That's the problem. Another guy who went hard the 4th of July weekend was JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul from the New York Giants, who had a fireworks accident and is still in the hospital in Miami and could have messed up the Giants are not going to offer him the long-term deal now, and it may not even offer or trying to get out of the franchise tag. I don't know how that necessarily works, but is there going to be clauses now in professional athletes' contracts where they just can't do anything ever?
Yeah, it's kind of going that way, isn't it? Well, because the amount of money they pay these guys are like, I mean, they're major commodities. They're major investments for these clubs. So, I mean, more and more there are these clauses in contracts where you can't do this and this and this and this and this and this because they are major investments.
I remember talking to Bill Pullian a few years back, I guess 5 or 6 years back now. And he said that this time from like Memorial Day through the 4th of July was the time that they just couldn't sleep. They worried the most. This was, when they have the most free time, and when you have reasons to drink or do stupid stuff, as these guys do on these weekends even more, he said it's times where he couldn't even sleep during these weekends. Is it going to get to the point to where they start trying to build more stuff in so these guys don't have as much free time, as much off time?
Could happen. What is it they say? Idle hands are the devil's work.
Right.
So.
And when you've got a ton of money to be able to kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah,
exactly. He bought a U-Haul full of fireworks. A U-Haul.
I mean, you got that kind of money to buy that. Why wouldn't you just buy somebody to light them off for you, too?
Right? Like, I'm trying to figure out how he, potentially blew his whole hand off. Like, I mean, I've lit off, some pretty big fireworks. I'm a bit of a pyromaniac.
When you drank a lot of alcohol and you hold on to things too long?
Yeah, exactly. If you have that kind of money, why would you just hire a professional to come put on a show for you?
I mean, we've paid somebody $20 to shoot bottle rockets out of their ass. I mean, people will do dumb stuff when they're drinking. People will do dumb things. You never had
I guess I didn't put in the drinking into the equation.
You never played bottle rocket chicken where you can hold on to it before they throw it and throw it last before it goes off?
Yeah.
Okay. So how can you not see how?
But I also I don't also make money, throwing a
no, I don't know.
With my hands.
What? Oh yeah, well, that's true. But you're a girl though. You don't have to. It doesn't matter if you're missing a hand. Guys don't care about that kind of stuff.
You still think you'd think about it?
If a girl's pretty enough, I'm not looking at her hands. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I meant about him lighting stuff off, and
Thinking back, is there an accident that sticks out to you? I mean, I know we hear a lot of guys who fell down the stairs playing with their kids, which is a lie. Can you recall one of the dumbest accidents you've heard an athlete doing in their off time?
There's been a lot of them, and most of them, for some weird reason, baseball players have the weirdest injuries. Carl Pavano, this one comes to mind, a couple years ago, lives in Vermont in the off season. Broke his back or something shoveling his driveway.
Yeah.
He slipped and fell, and he I can't remember what he did, but it was just
it broke his neck. I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, that wasn't it. He ruptured something, and I'm sitting there going, how do you do that? Just slipping in your driveway.
Yeah, and I remember another baseball player at spring training who fell down the stairs in his apartment.
Yeah,
or
it's always baseball players. You ever notice that?
It is baseball players a lot. I don't know. It's
Vince Coleman getting eaten by the tarp. That's the classic one.
Is it stupidity at this point? Is it? I mean, why risk that kind of money? It seems like more than ever, even athletes have realized that sports is a business. I don't get the thinking that goes behind this at this point for a guy to make these kind of idiotic decisions when you're making this kind of money.
I don't think anybody does. I mean, like you said, he's got enough money. Why didn't you just hire a professional to do it for you?
Well, especially as a football player, when your contracts aren't guaranteed, when you're getting ready to try to sign a big deal, why do anything? I mean, I wouldn't leave the damn house. I would be lucky if I left bed at this point if I got that kind of money on the line.
Yeah.
And do we sit here and look at it that way, though, because none of us are making that kind of money? Do we look at it more like how can you make that kind of decision when we're not making that kind of cash and then that kind of cash isn't on the line?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of which, we were talking about this too. Rory McIlroy.
Yes.
A week before the British Open, he ruptures a tendon playing soccer. Well, what are you playing soccer for, with the British Open coming up? Well, yeah, why are you doing that?
That wouldn't be a smart thing to do ever as a golfer.
No, it wouldn't be, ever, but especially now, especially the timing of it.
Well, and there, I mean, other than your endorsements, you got to pay to play. I mean, you're going to play to get paid, and are there some tournaments now that they pay some of these top guys to come? I mean, not the majors, but some of these tournaments, do they pay the top guys to come to them?
I think they're probably, I'm pretty sure there are tournaments where they sweeten the pot a little bit, I'm sure.
Tiger looked a little better over the weekend.
He did. He played pretty well.
Is it time to where he's got to suck it up and bring Butch Harmon back?
I don't know. He's so messed up right now. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know if it's in his head. Is it in his in his swing? Is it?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, he's paying the price physically for you know, if you watched him in his early years, he put so much torque on the ball in his swing that, you know, and so much pressure on his back, just the way he swung, because he just like would twist himself into a knot swinging the ball, and he's paying the price for it physically now, and now he's having to change his swing again, and so he's been constantly monkeying with his swing for however many years, and then I mean it's you know, I think it's a head thing too at this point.
Tiger was linked to that Canadian doctor that a lot of the baseball guys were. Do you think Tiger was ever a steroid user?
That is the $64,000 question, isn't it? Who knows? I don't think we'll ever know. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible.
With a game, I mean, I understand that giving you a little extra pop in your bat, but you still got to be a damn good athlete and have good eye-hand coordination to hit a baseball like those guys do. And it was the same with golf. I mean, Tiger looked like he was killing the ball even when he was young. You know, before he ever got jacked up. Is it at that point? Are they using the human growth hormone to recover from injuries more than it is to try to improve your game?
It might be part of it for some of those guys, or maybe that's how they got into it. But you're right. You know, baseball players in particular, you know, steroids don't help you hit the baseball. They don't. What they do is make the ball go a lot farther when you do hit it.
Right. To me, I think Barry Bonds would have been a Hall of Famer without the steroids.
Oh, there's no question.
You know,
he already was one when he started using them.
I mean, I know the Pete Rose and the gambling bother you. Do the steroids bother you? I mean, to me, there was so much stuff that used to be illegal in baseball. I don't care. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. Do the steroids bother you, or do they bother you now that they're illegal? Do they bother you less when they weren't?
Well, I think what's going to happen is it will become a moot point, because I think I've said this before. I think a lot of the stuff that these guys are using is going to end up being legal eventually anyway. So, and so that's why I think a lot of these guys that right now, you know, from the steroids era that are being excluded from going into the Hall of Fame will eventually go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's
because I think attitudes will change down the road.
I mean, you know, I've never paid more to see a baseball game than I paid, you know, 3 or 4 different times in '98 at Wrigley Field to watch Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire play head to head.
Right.
You know,
that's why Major League Baseball kind of looked the other way on all this stuff, because, you know, they were still getting killed because of the '94 strike and losing the World Series in '94, and in '98, the summer of '98, brought the game back. And so I think that's why Major League Baseball kind of looked the other way on a lot of this stuff. And
there was big deals, I mean, you know, through the, 60s, 70s, 80s, with the amphetamines and stuff in the clubhouse, right? I mean, we used to hear all the stories about guys who could just take handfuls of pills.
Oh, yeah, and that's been going on for a long time. You know, guys popping greenies, I mean, that's been going on for a long time. So, and those are performance enhancing. I mean, guys used to use them to, you know, day games after night games. That's what got them through those, and those are performance enhancing drugs too. Can't tell me they're not.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that, you know, things like Adderall are performance enhancing to guys to give them more energy and more focus.
Yeah, but, you know, if you're taking it for the reasons you're supposed to be taking it,
right?
Then it becomes a little bit more murky as far as how you know.
Yeah, I mean, you would hate to sit here with me if I didn't have Adderall. You would just either that or I would nod off, or I'd just be bouncing all around the room. Is it to the point? I mean, could we consider Red Bull a performance-enhancing drug if we really want to get into it?
Well, I guess to some extent it is, but it's also available to everybody. So, you know. Yeah,
it's going to get. I agree. I think it's going to get a little more murky with the performance-enhancing drugs. Did you hear Pete Rose's comments on Fox Sports 1? And if so, what did you think of Pete Rose, how he tried to explain himself?
I did not. No, what did he say?
Just that he hadn't lied about it, and it came up a little bit about, you know, when he bet as a player, he was also the manager at the time. And I know we talked about it at the very end.
Oh, that's his out, huh?
Yeah, that he was also the manager at the time, so he didn't technically lie.
Come on, Pete.
Is he done in your mind? I mean,
he's done. He's done.
Doesn't get another chance?
No.
Is it hard, though? Shouldn't we separate that, what he did on the field, though, from that at this point? Shouldn't we separate the fact that he was a Hall of Fame caliber player on the field?
Well, there's no question about that. There's no question as a player, if you were strictly going on that and not taking anything into consideration, that he'd be in the Hall of Fame. There's no question about that. But fact of the matter is, it's just, when you lie not once but twice, and then you're still trying to say you didn't lie. I mean, that Major League Baseball is just they're gonna throw their hands up on this one and just say, okay, Pete, you're done.
Phil Niekro's in the Hall of Fame, right? I believe he is.
So.
I mean, that guy got caught cheating how many times? I mean, 7, 8, 10? I mean, how many times has Phil Niekro caught cheating? And how is that different from one of these guys on steroids or Pete Rose betting? They still broke rules, right? I mean, when they cheated?
Yeah, but they didn't break the rule.
Is that what it is? It's because it's the cardinal sin?
Yep, that's what it is.
Had Pete got busted for drugs, it would be forgivable and would he be in the Hall of Fame right now?
Well, eventually, yeah, but I mean, none of those drug guys are in the Hall of Fame now. So I mean, it's if he'd been doing steroids, no, he probably wouldn't be for a while. But eventually,
I mean, from his era, if he would have got popped for cocaine a couple times, would he?
Oh,
be in the Hall?
Right. Yeah, I think he probably would have because that was a recreational drug.
Or do they wait and put Pete in after he dies posthumously?
I think that's probably going to be his punishment.
I
think he'll eventually get in because you never say never, and forever's a long time. But I think the punishment for him now is he goes into the Hall of Fame after he's dead.
But with the Hall of Fame being a museum, shouldn't Pete Rose be in there somehow with the whole story told that he was the hit king and that he broke baseball's cardinal sin?
You mean in the museum?
Yeah, isn't the Hall of Fame an actual museum? Isn't it technically a museum?
It is a museum. It's connected. The museum's connected. It's part of the same complex. I think he is. I think there is, or there used to be anyway.
It feels like all these steroid guys should be in there too, with the whole story told. Yes, Sammy Sosa hit 3 years in a row of 60-plus home runs, but he was also thought to do steroids. But he was never tested positive. How was Sammy Sosa not in the Hall of Fame? Just because we think, or writers think that he was?
Are you sure he never tested positive?
Never tested positive. Never was caught, at least. Rafael Palmeiro was caught. Mark McGwire admitted to it. Sammy Sosa's the one that he hasn't been. He's never tested positive.
Well, I think the suspicion is so strong that
it's pretty obvious at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious at this point. Baseball is going to try to get it right with the All-Star Game coming up. It's when a lot of casual fans tune in. We'll talk about the All-Star Game and the All-Star Game festivities and what we think they can do to improve them or change them. Next, if you want to be a part of the show, you can on Twitter at Ben Smith for real, at Mo Radio Show, at Cam_Star92, or at BS Sports The Fan. Taking a quick break. We'll be right back. We are live from Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North until 9 o'clock. You still got time to join us. Come out and see us. Listen to the BS Sports Show.
At ChampionshipFootballs.com, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis. Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan. Now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com. At ChampionshipFootballs.com, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter, or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not "you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan. Now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown, North. You're listening to the BS Sports Show. You still got time to join us out here. Thank you for listening wherever you are, whether you found us from the BSSportsShow.com or on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana. We appreciate you stopping along. Getting close to the All-Star break, and I've had to pay more close attention to baseball this year because, for once, the Cubs aren't mathematically eliminated already from baseball's playoffs, as they're right at the top of the wild card. Should we figure out something, Ben, at this point, to where baseball can make their top home run hitters to participate in the home run derby? Or they can figure out a way to make it better, because it's so long and monotonous now to try to watch it all the way to the end.
Well, aren't they redoing the format this year somewhat?
Yeah, somehow, and I don't know that I fully understand how they're doing it, but
yeah, I don't either. I read it and I still don't know if I understand it. But
I mean, I'd be cool with watching, four dudes in it. Mike Trout, Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, and whoever else from the American League you want to throw out there.
Well, I mean, they obviously got hurt right off the bat when Stanton got hurt.
Right.
To take him out of it really diminishes it, obviously. But yeah, it's kind of going the way of the slam dunk contest in the NBA. You don't have the marquee names in it anymore. They don't do it, and you got a bunch of guys that nobody's ever heard of in the slam dunk contest. The guy that won it this year, I never heard of this guy.
Right.
I mean,
when you look at the All-Star game, is it something to where, because of so much interleague play, should baseball just do away with it? I mean, the All-Star game originally was cool because you never saw these guys play against each other really, and now they play against each other all the time, and it to me shouldn't count for home field advantage in the World Series. Is it almost time to do away with it?
I don't think they want to do away with it because I think the All-Star Game's more about the spectacle of it, I think, and the tradition of it than anything else. And I think that's more why they play it than anything else. So I can't see them ever getting rid of it. And it is, it's still kind of cool on a midsummer night to sit there and watch it. And it's sort of a ritual, it's sort of one of baseball's traditions. So I can't ever see it going away. Now, even though you're right, it's lost some of the cachet because these teams all play each other now in interleague play. So
would it be cooler if they went back to letting the guys wear their own uniforms on the field? So at least not everybody looked uniform. Would it be better to let the guys wear their own home uniform?
I'd love it if they did that. Yeah. I think that would be a great idea.
It's gotten to the point though to where it was cool to watch Jeter's last one last year and what they did for Mariano Rivera a few years ago. But I have a problem. I don't like it counting. Is there a way to get rid of that now? I know it was the overreaction to the tie in Milwaukee a few years back. Is it time to get rid of that?
Yeah, I thought that was a definite overreaction to it. I mean, I just look, if it's an all-star game, I don't care if it's an exhibition, you play it out.
Right.
And they definitely made a mistake, and I think that you're right. They overreacted with by now making it. Now it counts. I mean, that's nice, except it was never intended to count. So, I mean, it was always intended to be an exhibition. It was always intended to be, kind of baseball's celebration of itself, more or less. So yeah, I don't like the fact that they hung, home field advantage in the playoffs on the All-Star thing.
Camry, is that event you're tuning into? Are you going to watch a baseball All-Star game?
I might now.
Would you have watched it if you didn't feel like you had to? Would you have watched it?
Probably not. It's hard to watch baseball for me. I don't know why. It just is.
Is there a way, Ben, to figure out to make baseball a better product on television? I mean, it's a great game to watch live, but is there a way to make it better on television, a better experience?
I think baseball took some steps in that direction with the some of the things the changes they made to speed up the game a little bit. And I think those were good changes. I think they could take it a little farther because some of those major league games, especially those Red Sox Yankees games, those things are just deadly boring to watch.
Yeah, I mean they're horrible. You're right.
It's ridiculous. I mean these guys were. I mean they were taking 3.5, 4 hours to play a 9-inning baseball game. That's ridiculous. You got to do something to. And the interesting thing about it is, and I think I've said this before, but I read a book called Crazy 8 one time, which is about the 1908 season. And there's a section in there that talks about how different the game was in 1908 than it is now. It was in 1908 a very fast-paced game. Games moved along. It was a rare game that lasted 2 hours.
Wow.
And even if you take the fact that they don't have the commercial breaks and stuff with TV out of the equation, you're still probably talking about games rarely lasting more than 2:15, back in the day. And it was that version of the game that people fell in love with. That's how it became the national pastime. Not this plodding, guys bailing out of the batter's box after every pitch, and pitchers taking half an hour between pitches, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
they've made what was intended to be a very fast-paced game into a lot of times just a deadly bore.
Yeah, I mean, I took the kids to a game last year, and my daughter was playing on her phone. I'm like, why did I spend money to do this? It was so long. I think we were there for 3:10 on a 9-inning game.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
Which is way too long. I mean, it's because they let these pitchers take forever to deliver. They let these guys fiddle around in the batter's box and, step into the box, step into the box and hit, and they should go back to enforcing the pitcher's rule too. Supposedly the pitchers only have X amount of seconds between pitches to release a pitch.
Does baseball need a shot clock?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I wouldn't either.
I mean, they do have a rule, but they don't enforce it.
Yeah, it's almost. I mean, because everybody would have to be the same, right? I mean, it would have to be uniform because if the umpire doesn't pay attention and start right away,
give them 12 seconds. Give him 12 seconds. The shot clock goes off. The batter takes his base. It's a ball. I mean,
here's what I hate. I saw a couple of fights over the weekend. Should baseball fine or suspend guys who run out from the bullpen and then don't do anything? They look so stupid doing that. Jogging out from the bullpen to come up to when the bench is clear and people are just face to face. If you're going to come out of the bullpen and run that far, you should have to fight. Because now I got to watch you walk your ass all the way back out to the bullpen.
It's kind of like fights in baseball. Fights in baseball are generally a joke anyway. So, I mean, for the most part.
I mean, I don't know why it bothers me so much, but every time I see it, I was like, damn it, these guys should have to fight each other now. If you're going to run or just fight the other bullpen out in the outfield. So you have to run all the way in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like goalies,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think baseball fights are silly anyway, but that's just me.
Is there one major change? I know baseball hates to make huge sweeping changes because the baseball purists freak out, but is there one radical change you could think the baseball could make that would make the game a lot more interesting? I mean, even if it's not time of game, is there a different kind of change that baseball can make to make the game more interesting? Take away an outfielder? I don't know. I mean, is there a sweeping
No, I don't
change?
think you need to really mess with the numbers or the geometry of the game itself. I think the radical move would be the shot clock. I mean, the purists would hate that. They would absolutely hate it. But you know what? It would make the game more entertaining.
Or if you could take a guy out and put him back in?
I don't know would that make the game any better, though?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think if you're a pitcher and you hit a guy, should be able to go out to the mound and throw it back at you.
Yeah, well, the guys have done that before. And
I hate all the unwritten rules. That might kill me more than anything in baseball is the unwritten rules.
Yeah, some of the unwritten rules are kind of dumb.
Like, I don't have a problem that the guy got hit by the pitch with Strasburg's or with Scherzer's perfect game. I don't have a problem with it. Because if a guy just gives up, that's when I'm going to be upset. If a guy just, you should do anything you can to get on base.
The only problem I had with it, and understand, I'm a Pirates fan. It was the
Right.
the Pirate guy that did this. The only problem I had with it is the game was pretty much out of reach. I mean, it was a 6-0 game. If it had been a 2-1 game.
Right, but do you want to be a team that has a perfect game thrown on them? I don't.
I guess, but that's kind of a crappy way to break it up, though. I thought
the guy should have given a raise, though.
Get a hit off the guy, It's kind of a wuss move.
I mean, I think if you can hit the ball in the ballpark, you should be able to show up the pitcher however you want to do it. If you got enough strength to hit a major league pitcher out of a ballpark, you should be able to stand there and look at it, jump up and down, throw up the middle finger, whatever you want to do.
You talking about home runs?
Yeah, no, home runs. Why not? If you can hit a major league pitcher out of the ballpark,
I've never had a problem with a guy hitting, especially when they hit just an absolute bomb. Dropping the bat and watching it. I've never had a problem with that.
I think if you get taken for almost 500 feet by Giancarlo Stanton, the pitcher should have to bow to you on your way around.
Well, I agree. Hey, you know what? You don't want the batter showing you up. Don't serve up a home run ball.
I hate that. Now something's got to be done about it. Or you steal signs from second. Who cares? If you can get an advantage like that, give better signs. I don't know. I've never had a problem with any of that stuff.
Stealing signs is a baseball tradition.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. That's part of the game.
Could we get rid of the third base coach? Every time, especially when pitchers bat in the National League, the pitcher has to get out of the box every time to look down at the third base coach, get all these signs. Can we get rid of some of those? That seems like it takes forever, too.
Yeah. I don't know what. Seems like all the third base coaches do is just wave guys around.
Yeah, I remember in Little League we had signs, and I couldn't remember any of them by the time I got up there anyway, so I couldn't remember if I was supposed to look at the second one, the third one. I forgot every time. I hate baseball signs. It's stupid. Why can't the manager on the way up there, when you're standing right there on the on-deck circle, hey, I want you to do this time? There just seems like there's some things that could get rid of that seem old and antiquated at this point. I don't know.
Well, it would have helped the guy from the third base coach from the Cubs dinner. Did you see that?
Yes.
That guy got nailed. Right in the elbow.
Is it almost feel like baseball rule that the Cubs have to start going backwards in the second half of the season? It doesn't feel right with them still in contention.
I don't think they're going backwards, are they?
No, but they need to. It doesn't feel right. It feels like baseball's out of whack right now. Normally I've quit paying attention to baseball by the end of April when the Cubs have been eliminated. Now I'm going to actually pay attention this year.
Yeah, they're going to hang in there this year. They're legit.
Is there a big trade that the Cubs look to make this year? Because it feels like they don't get the right guy. It feels like the last time they did that was maybe like back in when.
I don't think
03 when they got when they went and got the cats from the Pirates, when they went and got Kenny Lofton and those guys. It feels like that was the last time they really made a good deal with the trade deadline and Ramos Ramirez.
That's not really Epstein's style. I mean, he's doing what he's done elsewhere, which is building up the farm system, and so I can't see them really doing that because I don't think they really need to at this point because they've got so much good young talent in the pipeline right now. The only thing I could see, unless they can make a really blockbuster deal, like deal some of the talent they have in the pipeline, but as far as, I mean, it's kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
At this point, because I think they're exactly where they want to be in their development as an organization right now. So
they made a trade with your Pirates the other day. They brought Clayton Richard up from Indianapolis, and he got his first win the other night as a Cubs player. So Theo makes those deals that, at the time the deal for Rizzo didn't seem like a big deal. Most Cubs fans were pissed off they got rid of Andrew Cashner, and he turned into quite the ball player because the Cubs, remember, at that point had Brian LaRue, who they thought was going to be their first baseman.
Right, yeah.
He makes these little trades that turn into be,
They made some really good moves, and I was watching the game the other night. I was noticing how all these young guys that have come up in the last few years, or that they've made really astute deals for, are now in the starting lineup. The Addison Russells and Rizzo and of course Chris Bryant, who's that guy's going to be a
Solier
star.
comes back and then back in the lineup again too. You're right. They've got a lot of great. I mean, people started to get a little anxious with Theo, but he knew what he was doing.
Yep.
He knew what he was doing.
Yep.
And I mean, it would have to make him. Would it make him the greatest general manager of all time if he brought the World Series to Boston, then to Chicago?
Boy, it'd be pretty hard to argue against that, wouldn't it? That would be pretty solid, wouldn't it?
I think it'd be pretty. Yeah, it'd be pretty damn amazing.
That would be pretty solid.
I mean, would he be worth to your club then? I mean, could you see somebody paying him $100 million to come take over as? I mean, is it?
I don't know. That's an awful lot of money.
It's an awful lot of money, but if your team hasn't won in a long time or ever, it seems like it would be worth it. We're taking a break again. Let Ben try out that fish some more. I'm going to try out mine. You still got time to come out and get your own fish here at Wrigley Field. And we'll talk a little bit about Daytona last night and a horrific crash. And Dale Jr. picks up a win. So we'll get to that as well. You want to join in with us, you can on Twitter, at BS Sports Fan, at Ben Smith for Real, at Cam_Star92, or at Mo Radio Show. Taking a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the BS Sports Show live from Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North.
At ChampionshipFootballs.com, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter, or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not "you had a pretty good season" footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, "This season is their lowest price ever." Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at watcheverygame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. Watcheverygame.com box. I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at watcheverygame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. At championshipfootballs.com, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter, or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan. Now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North, the BS Sports Show. We are back live with you. You know, we forgot to talk about this last time because you didn't tell us after the show. You sang the national anthem at the Tin Caps game not too long ago.
I did, about a month ago. Yep.
So tell me about how this whole process work out and getting picked.
It kind of came about by accident. I'd always wanted to do a story on go through the audition process and do a story on it. You know, just kind of what it was like. Talk to the judges, what they were looking for. Talk to some of the other people showed up to audition and what their stories were. And I never could do it for the Journal because it would always happen in March, and March, of course, was always really busy.
Right.
And so I ended up doing it for Fort Wayne Monthly magazine, and you know, so I went to the audition and I sang for them and talked to the judges and talked to some of the other people. It turned out to be a pretty good story, actually, and some of the other people had some interesting stories.
So you sing?
Well, I can carry a tune.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have done this if I couldn't, because then it would have just been a joke. I wasn't going to take advantage of it.
Even for people who can sing, though, I mean, this is not an easy song to sing, though,
It's
right?
not.
I mean, if you can
It's
sing.
the worst. And so I just never thought anything about it. I had my story, and I was pretty happy. And then, like a week later, I get this email from the Tin Caps saying, "Hey, congratulations, you've been picked to sing
Wow.
the national anthem at the June 10th Tin Caps game." So that gave me, that was actually on March 10th I got the email. So it gave me 3 months to obsess about it. And what was really interesting was, first of all, the Tin Caps, their operations like clockwork. I mean, these people so know what they're doing. And so the person, Tara Cahill, took me back to this back room, you know, when they were getting ready with the pregame festivities, took me back to this back room and said, you know, you can warm up. and I sat there. I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been warming up for 3 months."
Right.
Because every time I was in the car, I would sing the national anthem. You know, and the thing. And Mo, you're absolutely right. It's a ridiculously devilish song to sing.
Yeah.
Because the highs are too high, the lows are too low. It bounces back and forth like a drunk trying to negotiate a sidewalk.
Right, and you throw nerves in there.
And you throw nerves in there. And believe me, I was so nervous. and so I was concentrating mostly on making sure I started in the right key.
That is very important.
Because if you don't start in the right key, you're screwed.
Right.
And fortunately, I got out there. I did start in the right key, and I remembered all the words, even though they put them up on the video board.
Oh, that would be nice. See, that's what would make me.
But
so
I didn't
nervous.
even pay attention to that. I was so focused on just making sure I got on top of all the high notes, and I got down to the low notes. I was making sure, and then I started in the right key, and I didn't even pay attention to the video board. It worked out okay, and people said that I had some people come up to me. Several people since have come up to me and said, "Since when can you sing?" And I said, "Well, it's something that I don't never make a big deal out of. I mean, I sang in the concert choir in high school, and we had." My senior year, we had the best concert choir in the state. We went to state contest and got a perfect score.
Wow.
Which we were told never happens. And I don't know how much I contributed to that, but I didn't screw it up.
Right.
So,
you didn't bring him down.
I didn't bring him down. So yeah, it was kind of a one-time only thing, and it worked out okay, and I didn't embarrass myself, so I was pretty happy about it.
Did anybody catch it on video? I want to watch it now.
Yes, it is on video. My sister got it on video. Somebody else did. It's on my Facebook page.
I'm gonna have to go watch it.
If you
now.
go on my Facebook page and scroll down far enough, it's on there. So.
Wow.
After singing it, do you feel like Francis Scott Key was a communist? That he hated America after writing that song? How hard it is to sing?
Well, he didn't write the song. He just wrote the words.
Originally it was just a poem, wasn't it?
No, it was a poem originally. The song is actually an old English drinking song.
Is it?
Yeah. That's where they got the tune from.
Oh, my.
So yeah, it was...
so appropriate for America.
I guess so.
Was it hard singing? Does the echo come back at you? Do the words come back at you?
I thought that would be a problem, but I didn't. If it did, I didn't really notice it that much.
Because a lot of times when stadiums are in downtown areas, especially that comes right back off the building, right?
Because people that I interviewed who have done it before told me that the echo will sometimes disorient you, but I didn't really notice it that much.
It was probably the whole in the moment nerves and everything.
I guess I just wasn't really paying attention to it. So
more nerve-wracking throwing out a first pitch or throwing out or singing the national anthem.
Oh, singing the national anthem, there's no question. If we throw out a first pitch, people almost expect you to bounce it. So
people screw that up all the time.
So
national anthem, everybody's silent and listening to you.
Yeah.
Would you do it at a Comets game?
I don't know if I'd do it again. I suppose if they asked me, I would, but they're not going to ask me, so it's kind of a moot point. But besides which, Tom Didier's pretty much got the franchise on that, so that'd be a pretty tough act to follow.
They do the auditions for the whole season in one weekend or one day.
Yeah, they do it. They do it over. It's over like I think a 2-week period maybe. A couple of people that I interviewed. I mean, it's funny. A lot of people are people who've done it before, and they're kind of regulars. They
right.
Do it again. They come, but they make you audition every day. So, so a couple of the people I talked to had done it before. One person hadn't, but to be honest with you, I was shocked when I got picked because after I got done singing, the next young woman who was a young woman who went in there and sang for him, and my reaction to that was, man, she's really good.
Was it part of you
like way better than me?
Part of you that thought about backing out and not singing?
No, I never thought about backing out. I wouldn't do that. I mean, because I was kind of looking forward to it in a weird way.
Right.
That I wanted to see if I could do it without completely embarrassing myself. So.
See, I would have been asked to do it before for basketball, but I couldn't get the nerves to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous for about especially the last week leading up to it. I was just like singing it constantly, and just
Like, that's so different than, like, just going up and doing karaoke. That's in front of a crowd. It's important to people. And
Did you have too long to think about it? Was that the one thing? Would you change that auditioning later so you didn't have 3 months to obsess over it?
Oh, definitely. I had 3 months to think about this, so.
Do you get anything for doing it? Somebody on Twitter I saw just asked that. I think that's what they were asking. I only caught part of it. Did you get anything for singing the national anthem? Just the honor of doing it, or?
No, they gave us 4 tickets, for our family.
Nice.
And that was pretty much it.
So was your family worried that you were going to embarrass yourself, or had they heard you sing it so much over 3 months that they knew you were going to nail it?
No, they were really worried about it. I think my son and daughter really couldn't care less. So and my wife, has heard me sing enough that she knew that I had a pretty decent voice. So
right.
She wasn't all that worried. So I was, I guess, the only one that was really worried about it.
And I can't believe you forgot to tell us that story last time.
Yeah, until the very end, it just popped into my head. At the very end, I completely forgot.
What one of the funner stories that you've written in sports?
Yeah, it was a fun story to do, actually, because the people were great. The judges I talked to were really good about telling me what they look for, and it was funny because when I interviewed them before I sang, and I said, so what do you look for? And they said we're basically just looking for someone that sings the song with a lot of feeling and doesn't try to be who they're not. And so my comeback was, does this mean I can't do my Elton John imitation?
Oh boy, was there anybody that came in there with a guitar or a sax that was trying to do it and not sing it that you saw?
Not that I saw. No, not that I saw. There were a couple like groups, like quartets,
sure,
and whatnot. But
did you obsess at all over in those 3 months about maybe changing it up a little bit, how you sang it? I mean,
no, I was going to do it straight.
Same way the whole time?
I got a lot of advice from people, though, including one guy said, if you just go up there and do it straight, it's not going to be memorable. You should go up there and do it like Roseanne Barr did it.
Oh,
just
my
like
God.
Then it would be memorable. I said, yeah, that would be memorable when I'd be dead.
Yeah, they'd remember you doing it.
Did you think about doing the Tom Didier arm fist type move that he does, or sticks his hand straight out?
I thought about that, but then I thought, no, that's kind of Tom's move. So I just kind of like.
Where do they put you, on the pitcher's mound? Where do you?
No, you're in the on deck circle.
Well, that seems maybe that's why the echo isn't as bad.
That could be. And you had the choice of either holding the mic or having it on a mic stand, and I chose to have it on a mic stand because I already knew what I was going to do with my hands. So
what did you do with your hands?
I just kind of held them out in front of me like this. I mean, I didn't. I didn't really do anything terribly demonstrative.
I would have put them in my pocket probably, but I'm sure been disrespectful. Was everybody looking at you or looking at the flag? Is it easier because people look away?
I don't know. I wasn't looking at them.
What were you focusing on?
I was focusing on, like, the church steeple out there beyond center field. That's what I was looking at.
Something completely unrelated.
Yeah, that was what I was looking at. That's why I didn't see the
words.
The words, because I really wasn't looking at that. I was kind of like looking at the sky and this church steeple and trying desperately not to look at the audience.
Yeah, like, they're not here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm
in the car again.
Ben Smith doing the national anthem in the Tin Caps game. A story that we didn't get last time, but we definitely got it this time. Take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll put a nice little bow on this thing. We'll talk about a little auto racing from yesterday and more. Last segment comes up next, live from Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North. You're listening to the BS Sports Show.
At ChampionshipFootballs.com, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants reporter. Or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan. Now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool at ChampionshipFootballs.com. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that we sell. It's simple. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots or a Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law lives in Seattle. Know a member of the Ohio State Alumni Association? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Sorry, we can't help you if you follow the Buffalo Bills or those San Diego Chargers. If you're a New Mexico State or Tulane alumnus, not much we can do. After all, it's not, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hi, this is Billy Elvis, and along with Mo Time, we host the BS Sports Show, now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana, which can be found at indianasportsradio.com. Tune in for our unique slant on the world of sports, covering your teams in the state of Indiana, as well as the top national stories, too. It's the BS Sports Show. I'm at Billy Elvis, Mo Time's at Mo Radio Show, at BS Sports The Fan. Now on Yahoo Sports Radio Indiana at indianasportsradio.com.
Are you an NFL Sunday Ticket subscriber? Then you may want to listen to this. Same thing goes for the NBA and NHL packages. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. You may have heard me mention my WatchEveryGame.com box before. Every summer, the DirecTV commercials say, this season is their lowest price ever. Lowest ever, my butt. If you've had it last year, it'll take you 6 months to pay that thing off. This year on the show, we hit Beck for Album of the Year at 6.5 to 1. Only way I could watch the Grammys live from San Diego was on my WatchEveryGame.com box. Now, I may never know as much as Billy V when it comes to UFC, but it don't matter whether they're in Australia or Botswana. With my WatchEveryGame.com box, I never miss a fight. It really is the coolest gadget I've ever owned. Check it out for yourself at WatchEveryGame.com. It's the only tool that every sports bettor needs. WatchEveryGame.com.
Welcome back to the BS Sports Show, live from Wrigley Field Bar and Grill in Georgetown North. You can join us on Twitter for this last segment, at Ben Smith for real, at Cam_Star92, or at Mo Radio Show. Ben, you're a big auto racing guy, and even you tapped out last night because the race didn't get started until almost midnight Eastern time back at Daytona.
Yeah, I think the green flag dropped at 11:42.
And how much more racing did they have to go at that point?
I hadn't started it yet.
They hadn't started. Yeah. Wow.
It ended at 2:41 in the morning, and it ended fairly spectacularly.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, it's a night race anyway. So, but at some point, do you worry about driver fatigue when you're racing that late?
That's a good question, and I thought about that. I was thinking about that myself. I said, I mean, I'm not sure it's smart to have these guys racing it in the wee hours of the morning because they're not used to doing that.
Yeah, I mean, my mom would be worried when I drove home, late. When I came home from the Stones concert, and she called me like, "Are you home? Okay." I mean, I can't imagine driving 175 miles, 200 miles an hour
at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but yeah, I think they should have just bagged it and run it today, because I realize they have to be at Kentucky on Wednesday, but I know from experience covering the Brickyard, I know how fast those guys get out of there after a race is over, and they could have got back to North Carolina, loaded up their Kentucky cars, and got to Kentucky by Tuesday afternoon. So
yeah, it seems like, just wait, that kind of stuff's coming. You're lucky, though. My son just spit his French fry back out in Cam's hand. Normally, he'll take that, put it in his hand, and then he puts it in my mouth. So I'll be happy that, Dad, this is good. Here, you try it.
Well, he just started playing with it, pulling it out of his mouth, and I'm like, oh, no, okay.
See, if you want to do that for a kid that's not yours, then you'd probably be a pretty good mom.
Aw. Well, I remember I have 6 younger sisters. I was a nanny for 2 years, too.
That would make me not want to have kids ever.
Yeah, well, it's about where I'm at right now.
NASCAR says that they want to make the sport safer. Maybe they do. But it seems like they make decisions a lot over the last couple of years that seem like bad, unsafe decisions.
Well, I mean, the Talladega and Daytona, the restrictor plate tracks, I mean, that's not a problem they can really solve. I mean,
no, but racing that late, it seems like a stupid problem.
Yeah,
I remember there was something earlier in the year where it was a bad decision.
I totally agree with that. I don't think they should have run that race last night. They should have run it today.
And was there a time this year, or was it last year they ran when the track wasn't dry yet and drivers were complaining? Then
that I don't remember.
The last time they ran that late at Daytona, Juan Pablo ran into a truck on Hayes.
That's right. The Daytona 500 that would never end. I remember that.
So, every time they have a real late race with Daytona,
weird stuff happens. Yep.
Yeah.
And had the crash last night, been a lot worse, we would be talking about that today. Is NASCAR taking some bad gambles at times?
Well, I'll say this about what happened at the end of the race last night. Austin Dillon got up on the catch fence. It was a nasty-looking crash. Tore out, actually, part of the fencing. But the fencing did its job because it kept the car out of the crowd. It kept most of the debris out of the crowd for the most part. There were some injuries, but not serious ones.
Right, but had he gotten hurt, though, and it was because
Austin Dillon walked away from it, which, if you've seen the crash, you can't believe it.
It's horrific.
And if it was due to fatigue, though, I mean, and something nasty had happened to him. I mean, we saw a wreck that didn't look that bad kill Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Right.
I mean, that's a big risk that NASCAR's taking with a lot of people's lives, racing that late.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a truck driver, you can't drive that many miles that late at night.
Like I said, they should have not run that thing last night. I know logistically it would have been tough for him to get to Kentucky by Wednesday, but you gotta balance that against the safety of the drivers.
And in the grand scheme of things,
especially in a restrictor plate race where you're running inches apart, all night long anyway.
And in the grand scheme of things, what race means more to NASCAR, even television-wise, Daytona or a race in Kentucky? I mean, isn't Daytona that's their track, right? I mean, that's where the big one's held earlier. Isn't Daytona a bigger deal than a race in Kentucky?
Yeah, it is, but you still got to race there. I mean, you still got to get there, and but I still contend that they could have done it today and gotten there in plenty of time.
It seems like we'll stay on racing as we wind this thing up. It seems like the Brickyard has lost a lot of its luster. Is there a way to reinvigorate the Brickyard, or whatever they call the race this year?
I've been saying for 2 or 3 years they should run it on the road course. I think it'd be a more entertaining race. The problem with the Brickyard is the Speedway, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, is just not a great NASCAR track, and it's never going to be.
Too big, or
it's too flat. It's the straightaways are too long, so guys get away from each other, and it just turns into a parade. And yeah. And it's so spread out. That's the other thing. It's so spread out. You can only see a small portion of the track from any particular place. And the fans have figured out over the years that it's not a great venue for NASCAR, and that's why the crowds are dwindling, is because the word's gotten out. It's one of those things. It's kind of like a bucket list thing. You want to go see. If you're a NASCAR fan, you want to go see the Brickyard because you want to go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But once you've been there and seen the kind of racing they have there, you very rarely want to go back.
I remember watching it on television, part of it last year, and going, "Wow, I cannot believe how empty the stands are." You know, I hadn't watched it in a few years, and
the crowd estimates last year were under 100,000.
Is that the first time that they've done that low?
Yeah, it's been lower every year.
Is it only conducive for the open wheel IndyCar racing? I mean, I know Formula One had a disaster there.
It's much more conducive to the IndyCar. Yeah, because the 500, the last 5 or 6 years have been terrific. They're terrific races. It's just not a great NASCAR track, which is why I would love to see them try running it on the road course one time, because I think it would be more entertaining.
Yeah.
Will there be a point to where NASCAR doesn't come there anymore if the crowds keep?
No, it'll never get to that. But I think what might happen for them to try to put some more juice in it. People keep talking like sooner or later they're going to put lights in that place and they'll run it at night. Yeah.
I think more people attend the nationwide race at IRP than what they do at Indianapolis.
I totally agree. I think that was a huge mistake because I've been to the nationwide race at IRP a few times, and it's entertaining. It's fun to watch. Yep. And moving it to the speedway, it's just more of the same stuff.
And will this one have some juice this year because it'll be Jeff Gordon's last one?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure that'll be a big storyline.
Probably more entertaining drive. His drive as the pace car driver than anything. That might have been a more entertaining race for him.
Yeah. I'm sure that will be a huge storyline. It'll be Gordon's, although I'm not sure it will be, because I think he'll probably still run the Brickyard in Daytona because he's not completely getting out of it, is he?
He said that he's not going to run another. He won't be the guy that comes back and just runs a few races. He's done.
Really?
Okay. This was a couple of weeks ago. Because
I must have missed that.
It was the same question I had too. Would he come back and would he run the Indy 500 now, or would he just run the Brickyard in Daytona? And supposedly no, but how many guys in sports like that ever really retire?
Yeah, he says that now.
Yes,
we'll see.
I think he comes back for the big. It's hard to turn down that kind of money.
Yeah,
I gotta imagine.
Look at money owner Michael Walker.
It just seems.
Even though he quit racing and tried focusing more on the team, he still races those big money races.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I mean, when you race for a guy like Hendrick, who's got most of the money in the sport, I mean, it's going to be hard not to come back and make some quick cash.
We'll see.
I mean, maybe he's a guy that lives up to it, but it's in sports like that. I mean, do you really ever really retire?
I'll take him at his word until he proves otherwise.
How many times has Mark Martin retired?
Well, I don't think Mark Martin ever actually said he was going to just quit cold turkey. I think he always, when he left, said that he was still going to run a limited schedule. So
can we run a senior circuit? I want to see some of these old dudes get out here. I want to see Billy Elliott back out there racing. And can we run a senior circuit where they have to drive with their blinker on the whole way around the track? We release some deer out there or something. I mean, something fun.
That would be great.
I was watching a clip of a race the other day where they can't keep deer and stuff off the track.
Where was this?
Oh my goodness! It was some small track, like in Wisconsin or Minnesota or something. I don't know. I was like, man, that's what NASCAR needs. But you want to really show me you're a good driver? Is release some deer on the track and let's see what happens.
Well, Mike Royko always said that what they should do is to spice it up would be to have them race to have it be a 2-lane road with traffic going both ways.
Then that would be fun. Let's take half of the field and turn around the other way. Well, let's just put Danica out there anywhere during the race, and that makes it more exciting. It was I don't know. Like you said, I think it was a bad decision last night, and hopefully NASCAR looks at that and doesn't do that ever again. It's a bad decision all around for the drivers, for the fans, for TV. I mean, especially when you hang in all day to watch one of those. And was that Daytona this year? A couple years ago too, right? We were just talking about Daytona. It just seemed like it never was going to end. Yeah. That Daytona race, and you just kept checking back and checking back. It just
Yeah, that's when they had the 6-hour rain delay.
It's the one thing Indianapolis has seemed to get right the last few years. Is the Indianapolis 500 has been tremendous. I mean, it's probably been the best race of the year for any racing over the last couple of years. It's been tremendous. It just they can't get that momentum going forward.
Although the one they had at the Auto Club Speedway in California a couple of weeks ago was an amazing race. I mean, the drivers hated it because it was really, really tight racing. They were all racing really close together. for the duration of the race, but from a spectator standpoint, it was amazing racing.
Ben, you got anything big you're working on right now people can check out?
Not right at the moment. It's kind of slow in the summertime, but I'm sure things will pick up later on. So,
can we find some other things for you to do, like you did for the national anthem? I mean, can we have you go through the mascot process? I mean, can we find some other cool stuff like that for you to do?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I got John Nolan sent me an email after I had done the national anthem thing, and said, okay, the next thing we need to have you do is perform with the Bad Apple Dancers. And yes. I said, oh, hell no.
Yes. You can find him on Twitter, at Ben Smith for Real. Camry, your big week in sports will include what this week?
My big what?
What are you going to watch this week? What are you watching?
Well, I might watch the All-Star game now.
Well, it's not till next week.
Oh, well, dang it. See?
It's kind of slow this week.
It's going to be a
whole
slow
lot
week,
going
yeah.
on.
You're right. You're relieved of your duties this week. You don't have to do anything.
Yes.
You don't have to do anything. But you have to play some sports and send some pictures up on Twitter that we can see.
Okay. I'll go play. I'd love to play some basketball. I've been dying to play some basketball. Literally haven't played it, I think, since, like my senior year.
They want to know, will you do it in a bikini?
Maybe.
Okay. At Cam_star92.
I won't do it in heels, though. I'm not going to kill myself.
Fine. That's fine. Billy will be back at some point this week. I don't really know when he's coming back. I think Thursday. Kaylee Schrock, the former, at this point now, Comets captain, will join us out here on Friday. It'll be a fun week, and we'll be back with you again come Wednesday night. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Ben, thank you, as always. And Camry, you as well. And Jerry, without a microphone, even great stuff. I appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter as well, BS Sports Fan. Live from Wrigley Field Bar and Grill. We are done for tonight, but Wrigley Field will be open all night long. This is the BS Sports Show.